Alright, what is up YouTube? Today I'm riding the 2023 Suzuki SV650. This is one of Suzuki's most well-known bikes besides the Gixxer, obviously. This is kind of their middleweight naked bike, and this has been around for years and years and years. I was actually looking at these instead of a Ninja 650 back in the day, but I decided to go with the Ninja 650. I like Kawasaki. But yeah, I haven't ridden the SV650 since 2016, I think, or 2015. So it's very interesting getting back on here right away. I feel like the seating position is fairly straight up, but I feel like my arms are all the way outstretched. You can see I don't have a ton of slack unless I lean forward a bit. So I think they are trying to make this a little bit more of an aggressive seating position than just sitting straight up. The bike feels pretty light under me. I can move it side to side with ease. Sounds pretty good. It has a little bit of a different tone. The throttle's a little touchy, I'm not gonna lie. Going around that corner, I had to really modulate the throttle because it felt a little touchy. It's kind of on off. So I don't prefer that in a motorcycle. I like very smooth throttles because it is a lot more to manage going around corners and going around tight spots if the throttle's really touchy. Now, along with the seating position, my knees are up against the tank here, but my feet are all the way back. So this position reminds me of the Indian FTR 1200. If you've ridden that one, I don't know why you would be riding this with such a lower cc count, but if you've ridden that one, you kind of know what that's like. The foot controls are definitely further back from your knees, so it is kind of a weird position. It feels a little cramped to me. I'm only 5'11", I'm not that tall, but it does feel a little bit cramped. We're in third gear here. It's got a good amount of power. It's nice, smooth power. It doesn't give you that insane torque hit. I feel like it's probably gonna have less power than the Ninja 650. The Ninja 650 felt pretty powerful for a 650 class bike, but I'm just rolling around here in fourth gear, and so I'm not rev matching or anything right now. I'm just kind of letting out the clutch. It's very smooth. Oh wow, turning feels amazing. Let's see, let's go around this corner. Wow, it feels so good going around this corner. It feels so light and flickable and agile. This thing is just a handling monster. Yeah, it really just wants to turn. It's got some good mid-range power as well. I just rode the GSX250R, and that bike was pretty slow. So I'm hopping off that one, getting on this one. And I'd say this powers, I'd say it's close to a Ninja 650. I don't know if it's quite there yet, but more than enough power for the city. I think a lot of bikes have a ton of power these days, and this bike seems perfect right in the middle of, you know, do I need to upgrade, or can I start on this bike? I think you could start on this bike if you're careful. The clutch pull is fairly easy, and the brakes feel good, not too grabby. We're just rolling to a stop here. Coming to a stop, very easy to manage at low speeds. So taking off from a stop here, very easy. The clutch, you let it out a little bit and it just wants to go, so it has enough torque to start going on its own. And it's got a good amount of power to get you up to speed. It's nice and torquey. That's what I like about the twins versus the inline fours. The inline fours can be good, but the parallel twin around, the V-twin or parallel twin around town is just so fun. There's a little bit of vibrations in the handlebars. Not very much though. It's fairly smooth for being a twin engine. Now, being a naked bike, there is a good amount of wind on here. I'm sure there'll be more wind on the freeway. Now, shifting on here is a little bit more vague than the 250 I just rode. I really like the 250 and how direct it was. This one seems a little bit more vague. Like, it's hard to tell if I actually shifted a gear. You get a tiny little click, clunk, then you're in gear. So it's kind of hard to tell. This bike revs up to about 10,000 RPM. So it has a decent red line, but I'm guessing that the power is all going to be lower and mid-range power and not high-end, top-end power. Downshifting, and you see I'm not rev matching, I'm just letting out the clutch and it's very smooth still. Let's go down to second gear here. A little bit of trail braking. Oh, it sounds really good when you get into the high RPMs. So I'm in third gear. Yeah, it's pretty quick actually. It's just got some good torque, and we're in fifth gear still. I'm at 6,000 RPM just rolling on the throttle, and it's got more than enough power to get up to speed here. I'm keeping up with the group here. But yeah, higher speeds, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of wind blast because it's a naked bike. You can always put a windshield on, but just the naked bike seating position is going to give you a lot of wind going down the road, and especially on the highway right now. Oh yeah, I'm feeling the wind. It's pushing. It's really pushing. It's not pushing side to side, it's just pushing against me. So a lot of buffeting on my helmet and body. So let's test this corner here. It feels good, it feels stable through the corner. Now there are quite a bit of vibrations at higher speeds. So let's speed up here. Yeah, there are quite a bit of vibrations at higher RPMs and speeds. So it's not as smooth as a four-cylinder would be. I think after an hour and a half, my hands would be tingling. Let's just say that. I would be in a bad tingling spot. But yeah, switching lanes very easy. This bike is just so flickable. It's fast. I mean, it's got some good power. You know, I actually think the power is going to be more mid and upper range on this one. I was a little surprised there. It pulls pretty good. So we're in sixth gear now, and if you roll on the throttle, you still get some good pull. You don't really have to shift down. That's the nice part. That's kind of my favorite thing on a motorcycle, when you don't have to shift down. You can just roll on the throttle and get some good acceleration. So yeah, I think the power band is really good on here. It's perfect for the city. You could take it on long trips, but I don't know how smooth it's going to be on the long trips. I think the vibrations might get annoying after a little bit. Has a weird sound to it, but it's kind of got its own unique sound. Sounds good. Now this little display here shows you the RPM gauge, a gear indicator, speedometer, temperature. It actually gives you a range for the gas mileage as well, so you can see how many miles till empty. I love having that feature on a bike. It's usually nice on longer trips when you need to plan your gas stops. But other than that, there's not really much technology on here. Very basic, simple bike. Taking off from a stop is so painfully easy. I think this bike is really easy to ride, besides the throttle. Throttle's a little touchy. But in terms of maneuverability, this bike is probably up there with the best of them. It's just so easy to flick over. It just wants to turn. If I wanted a race bike, I think I would probably look for one of these, a race bike to just go when you're turning corner to corner, left side to right side really quickly. Man, this bike is just so quick with it. I don't know if I've ridden a bike that turns as fast as this one. Now, I didn't look up the price of this bike. I'm guessing it's around $7,500 to $8,000. And I'll post the correct price here, but that's kind of what I'm thinking for a good price for this bike would be, considering the competition that's out there. Now, do I think a beginner could ride this bike? Sure, but I don't know. I feel like it's almost a little too much bike for a beginner. I'd say this would be a good second bike. A beginner, I mean, you can take it easy with this bike for sure, but it still has a lot of power. I don't know if you're going to learn all the same skills as you would on a slower bike. It's hard to say maybe a beginner that's experienced with dirt bikes or something. But yeah, it's just got a ton of power for a beginner, and the power band is very predictable, but it's also still a good amount of acceleration. Do you buy a beginner bike and then sell it, or do you just start on this one and keep it forever? Kind of something that you have to research and decide on your own. My seat height's pretty low. I'm flat footing on both sides. I'm 5'11", so a nice low seat. But yeah, first gear is way touchy. Suspension feels a little soft as well. Going around that corner, I felt the suspension kind of moving up and down. It is a little soft. I mean, I'm sure it's not geared to high performance riding. I'm sure it's probably geared more to city comfort riding. Yeah, suspension's a little soft for my taste. I'd like a little bit stiffer suspension and just handle a little bit better. But overall, I didn't really notice it a ton in the city. Like, I didn't notice any jarring, so it did provide some good comfort, that's for sure. Yeah, overall, I really like this bike. It's a lot of fun to ride in the city. I think it's an amazing city bike, and you could take it on longer trips. A lot of fun to ride, very easy to ride, good amount of power.